Welcome to Music Theory Mondays. Today we'll be covering what I was just playing, the famous jazz standard, Autumn Leaves. We'll be looking at it from a music theory perspective. So we'll look at the key signature, how the chords relate, and transposing it to a different key. This is all things we've done before in Music Theory Mondays. So it shouldn't be too hard. And we got a lot to do. So let's just go ahead and get started. All right, so we're analyzing the head or main melody to the famous jazz standard Autumn Leaves. When we're analyzing a piece of music, first things first, we figure out what key it's in. And how do you do that from a piece of sheet music? Well, it's quite simple. So you see the treble clef right here and the time signature right here. It'll be located right between there. It is either a number of sharps or flats or nothing. And what this tells you is, well, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. First things first, what is in the key signature? Well, there's one hashtag. Oh wait, I mean sharp. And it's on what line? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 lines up, so it's every good boy deserves fudge. It's on the F line because it's pierced right through it. So there's one sharp, it's an F sharp. What key is this? It's G. It's in the key of G major. And what does that mean? It means that throughout the piece of music, you assume any F that you run into, you assume that it's sharp, okay? Unless otherwise notated by a natural sign, which sometimes happens. But in this case, we can look through it again. Nothing's written in. Oh, on the first ending, there's a couple things written in. And what are they? A C sharp and a D sharp. It's written in because it's not in the key signature. It doesn't relate to that key signature. So how does that work? Well, each chord in a melody and in anything is its own tonal center. It fits with a B7. D sharp is the third of B. Okay? Now, and these are called accidentals. I don't know if I said that. Accidentals are notes that are written in that fit the melody, but not the overall key. So they're written in to make it work. These are accidentals. Okay? So that D sharp wouldn't work with a D7 chord. Because it's kind of like, here's a D, here's a D sharp. Not a very pretty sounding interval. A C sharp doesn't work with an A minor 7. It doesn't work. So it works specifically with that chord. And then the next measure, it just goes back to normal because it's not written in the key signature. So the rest of the song is good. So anytime, like I said, you run into an F, you assume it's sharp. It's in the key of G major. Okay, now that we know the key signature, next step is to look at the chords. The chords in relation to the key of G major, okay? So our first chord is an A minor 7. How we do this is like, what is A in relation to G in the G major scale? It's 2, okay? So we know when we harmonize the major scale that 2 is always minor. So it fits perfectly, A minor 7. Okay. Your next chord is a D. What is D in relation to key of G? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the 5th. And when we harmonize the major scale, should be a 7. Fits perfectly. Wow. And, oh wow, our next chord's a G major 7. What is G in the key of G? It's of course 1, and 1 is major. What is C in the key of G? 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. It's the 4th, and it's a major 7. And lo and behold, it is also a major 7. If we spelled out all these chords, they would all fit in the key signature, by the way. We have an F sharp minor 7 flat 5. It almost sounds like I'm just going to keep going and keep saying F sharp minor 7 flat 5 brownie light bulb paper. Where am I going with that? I don't know. It's just a long name for a chord. But what is F sharp in relation to G major? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a 7. And when we harmonize the major scale, it is diminished. This is half diminished. And we spelled it out. All the notes fit within the key of G major, and including the F sharp. Now we run into a problem. As we said before, there's accidentals written in here. Accidentals kind of give away that the chord's going to be kind of weird to the key signature. Now, there is a B in the key of G, obviously. G, B, D. It's the third of the major scale, but typically the third is a minor. In this case, it's not. It's a major. So it puts that D sharp in there, which is in the melody. There's not a D sharp in the key signature, so it clashes with the rest of it. But as I said before, each chord is its own tonality. And this fits, along with the C sharp, fits right with the B7. It doesn't fit with the other chords that I showed before. But you have a major 3 for the B7. Now, last but not least, you have an E minor 7. E minor 7 is what to the key of G? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a 6 to the key of G, which is your relative minor, which makes it minor, so it fits perfectly. Okay? And there you have it. Those are the chords for Autumn Leaves, the head to Autumn Leaves. A big thing to take note in the chord progression to Autumn Leaves is the use of a 2-5-1 chord progression. And a 2-5-1, you can visually see it. 2, 5, and 1. It's basically meaning chord build off of the 2nd degree of the G major scale, chord build off of the 5th degree of the G major scale, followed by a 1. Okay? Minor 2, 5, and 1. It's used so much in jazz, it's worth taking note because you'll recognize it, pick it up instantly. You'll know how to solo over it right away. It happens all the time. And it happens sometimes in pop and rock, but it's huge in jazz. It's used as a turnaround to resolve to the 1 all the time. Like I said, we can use a couple examples. Georgia on my mind toward the end. 2, 5. So it resolves right into the main melody, the head. We could also do, let me think, Fly Me to the Moon has it, and it resolves itself. It turns around right into the head. So you hear that? So the 251 is everywhere. You can hear it everywhere. Those are two jazz standards that it happens in. And of course, it happens in Autumn Leaves, but not so much a turnaround. It happens right in the melody where it's. So 251. So, like I said, it's everywhere. It's in turnarounds, it's in the melody, and it's definitely worth taking note of a 251 progression. At this point, you know the key that Autumn Leaves is in, the chords that are in Autumn Leaves, and how they relate to that key, and that there's a 251 progression right in the main melody, the head. So our last thing to do when we're doing all this is how would you go about transposing this, the easiest way to transpose this. I won't go into every which way. I'll just go into the easiest way for you as a musician, as a guitarist, or even a pianist would be, is you're going to look at the chords first and foremost, okay? So in the initial key, it's 2, 5, 1, major 4, half diminished 7, major 3, minor 7, sorry, I should say 6, that is a minor 7 chord, minor 6, there you go. Okay, so let's say somebody said, let's play it in the key of C. And you need to know how to transpose that, and kind of in a quick method. You can't just move your hand around. If you're putting a capo on there, you may not know exactly where everything sits or what it is and all that good stuff. You want to know what it is, honestly. So 2 in the key of C major, 5, 1, major 4, half diminished 7, major 3, and minor 6. Now I'd go back after that and go, what are those chords? I just kind of figured it out. I moved the position, and that's what I would do first and foremost. And then you could figure out melody in relation to those chords. You could figure out in relation to the overall key signature. But this is how I would go about transposing the key of Autumn Leaves first and foremost, is the chords. All right, there you have it. We've analyzed the head or main melody of Autumn Leaves. And this is just a couple of ways of going about it. This is my approach. Somebody else may do this entirely differently. I mean, we'll all amount to the same idea, but this is just my approach. I do this with, different jazz standards, pop songs, rock songs, you name it. But I feel like it's a good approach, and I wanted to share it with you here on Music Theory Mondays. We'll do more of these. We'll definitely do, coming up shortly, the bridge to Autumn Leaves. And yeah, I hope you have a good week. Keep jamming, keep rocking, and we'll see you next week on Music Theory Mondays.